Final ending of the chatter, part 1 down below. Your wife tried to come into the arena, but thankfully, the Nevada Nightmare team stopped her, the older man said as he entered the room. Victoria responded with a glare, her anger evident. Relax, I'm just here to help with your husband's bills, he quickly added, trying to soothe Victoria. If you hadn't spoken out, we wouldn't even be in this situation. Victoria yelled, visibly upset. Please, this is a hospital. A nurse, who was quite large, interjected sternly. Andrew, who generally disliked medication, found himself deeply appreciative of the pain relievers and muscle relaxants. They made the journey from Las Vegas to Colorado bearable, as well as Victoria's driving from the airport to their home. Ryana and Victoria managed to sign Andrew's cast. Victoria added her own mark near Ryana's signature with a stern expression. Victoria leaned close to Andrew and whispered something playful and intimate. Andrew responded with a cheeky suggestion, raising his eyebrows playfully. Victoria agreed, then became serious. What if you had gotten seriously hurt? What about Ryana and me? What would have become of us? She began to cry, leaning heavily against him. See, this is what scares me. I get my hopes up, thinking everything will be all right, but it always ends up falling apart, Victoria cried out. And then I'm left feeling like a failure again. A few days after returning from Las Vegas, Victoria and Ryana were at the kitchen table, working on Ryana's new coloring book. Ryana was creating a story about a pony she was coloring, and Victoria encouraged her daughter's creativity, asking for more details. And after you save all the butterflies, then what? Victoria inquired. She was startled by a sharp knock at the door. We all flew back home, and you and Daddy were happy to see us, Ryana explained. Before responding to the knock, Victoria made sure the door was securely locked, then called out, Who's there? Reynold, came a reply from outside. I'm a private investigator from DeGard, Louisiana. I'm looking for Andrew Michael Carter. What do you want with him? He's done with bull riding? Victoria shouted, her frustration evident. No, ma'am, this is about his family, Reynold responded. Could we talk without the door between us? Hold on, Victoria said tersely. Upon entering the bedroom, she found Andrew. Who are you talking to? He inquired. Some man outside claims he's from your family, she replied abruptly. What should I do? I was hoping they wouldn't track me down, Andrew sighed. Let him in. They're persistent. Victoria opened the door and gestured for Reynold to enter. Reynold, a large man, stepped inside, and they both winced as the floorboards creaked under his weight. I had gotten down to 230 pounds, Reynold mentioned. That keto diet works, but then, what happened? Andrew asked, limping into the living room. Rhea, could you make some coffee? Well, I indulged a bit on the 4th of July. Had some hot dogs, a few beers, Reynold admitted. Kept telling myself I'd get back on track, but I never did. Easy to postpone, Andrew nodded. I'm Andrew. And you are? Reynold. I've seen you on TV before, Reynold replied, carefully sitting on the love seat. Saw you a couple of months earlier too. Okay, Andrew acknowledged, settling into his recliner. Your family hired me to find you. Your dad's been diagnosed with cancer, Reynold informed him, gratefully accepting a mug of coffee from Victoria. All right, Andrew acknowledged. Thanks, Rhea. You've been quite hard to find, Reynold added. No, not exactly, Andrew responded. I recognized you from that rodeo segment where you rode those two bulls, Monster and El Diablo, Reynold mentioned. I asked your brother if it was you. What type of cancer was it? Andrew inquired. Monstro and El Diablo. And he's not going to ride again, you understand. Victoria interjected from the kitchen table. Oh, your father had pancreatic cancer, Reynold answered. William, your brother, thought it couldn't be you. He said you were afraid of horses, so bull riding was out of the question. Andrew let out a laugh tinged with bitterness. Victoria looked at him disapprovingly from the kitchen. It was William who was afraid of horses, not me, Andrew corrected. Mr. Reynolds, I hope my brother paid you well for his misguided claims. He's the one with the horse fear, not me. My daddy's a cowboy, Ryana proudly announced. Is that so? Reynolds smiled at the young girl. Ryana nodded and went back to her coloring book. About that incident in Las Vegas, Reynolds continued. It looked very serious. Your sister confirmed it was you. Hold on, you said Big Bill had cancer. Had as in past tense. Andrew asked, feeling a knot in his stomach. Reynolds hesitated. Yes, his funeral was last Thursday. I'm sorry for your loss. Ma'am, could I have another cup of coffee? Of course, Victoria said, rising to her feet. So Big Bill's gone, then? Andrew murmured, extending his mug to Victoria. Yes, I'm afraid so, Reynolds confirmed. If William hadn't misled everyone, I might have had a chance to say goodbye to my father, Andrew said with bitterness. It seems so, Reynolds agreed sympathetically. I'm truly sorry. He was a good man. Oh, that's an exaggeration, Andrew chuckled dismissively. I remember a rig manager saying, if you can't say anything nice about someone, it's probably Big Bill Carter. He wasn't the most likable guy. Andrew, Victoria reproached him. So, with Big Bill gone, what brings you here? Andrew queried. Your mother sent me, Reynolds revealed. She wants you back to help with Tri Carter. Tri Carter? Victoria inquired. It's a company dealing with communications and technology in the oil industry, Andrew clarified. Is it a risky job? Victoria asked with concern. It's mainly office work, just shuffling papers around, Andrew reassured her. But why isn't William managing it? He is, Reynolds said. But according to your mother, he's not doing well with it. Because he doesn't really understand our business and he's too proud to ask for help, Andrew reasoned. Where is Tricarter located? Victoria asked. In DeGard, Louisiana, Andrew replied. Just don't expect me to root for the Saints when they play the Broncos, Victoria joked. Wait a second, Andrew laughed. Did I unknowingly marry a Broncos fan? And I married a Saints fan. Victoria smiled back. I should have known. Only a Saints fan would dare ride a bull. Victoria affectionately kissed Rihanna on the head and hugged her tightly. I'm so sorry, Rihanna. I didn't realize your dad was a Saints fan, she joked. It's okay, Mommy, Rihanna comforted her. Both of you, stop it, Andrew laughed. Mr. Reynolds, I won't be able to drive for another 5 or 6 weeks. Oh, I can give you a lift home, Reynolds offered to Andrew. Mr. Reynolds, this is our home, Andrew stated firmly. It might seem like just a modest trailer to you, but to me, it's far better than what I left behind in Louisiana. I understand. My own place isn't much different, Reynolds acknowledged, taking in the simple yet tidy trailer. After thanking Victoria for the coffee, Reynolds shook Andrew's hand and left. Andrew watched him get into a large Cadillac and immediately start a phone conversation. Closing the door, Andrew felt a wave of emotion. Rhea, we should start preparing, Andrew said to Victoria. Once Reynolds reports back to. Andrew choked up, realizing Reynolds wouldn't be reporting to Big Bill. His father, a man he had a complex relationship with, was gone forever. Are we heading to DeGard? Victoria asked, wrapping her arms around him. Yes, DeGard, Andrew replied, his voice breaking. How long will we be away? Victoria inquired. Just a couple of weeks, I think, Andrew answered. Despite the inconvenience of his walking cast, Andrew managed well. Victoria, who disliked driving, was relieved to let Andrew take the wheel. Rihanna bombarded them with questions about Louisiana, curious about the wildlife and their new destination. They found a neat motel in Falwell City, Oklahoma, where Rihanna enjoyed the swimming pool, though she was reluctant to leave it for their next stop. Does your mom have a pool? Victoria asked once Rihanna had dozed off in the truck. Yeah, she does, Andrew chuckled. Big Bill once saw a pool with 3 fountains at a party, so he had one built with 5. It's the most over-the-top thing you've ever seen. Stopping at a Waffle House in Lafayette, Louisiana, they were met with curious stares from the waitress, who seemed intrigued by Victoria's unique facial piercings. My mom will definitely have something to say about your piercings, Andrew cautioned Victoria. I've dealt with my own mom's comments, Victoria replied nonchalantly. I'll just tell your mom the same thing I told mine. If she doesn't like them, she doesn't have to look. As they drove into DeGard, Louisiana, Victoria was keenly observing her surroundings. Andrew pointed out various landmarks and places of interest. Is the Dead End a golf club? Victoria inquired, noticing the luxury cars parked outside the modest building. No, it's more of a club for gentlemen, Andrew said casually. Like Cunning Stunts? She asked. You know about Cunning Stunts? Andrew was surprised. I worked there briefly, Victoria said matter-of-factly. Did you ever go to Cunning Stunts or the Dead End? Andrew clarified. Either, she pressed. The Dead End actually serves decent lunches, Andrew admitted. As they turned onto Wells Street, Andrew groaned at the sight of 2 luxury cars in the driveway. Minnie, their housekeeper, always parked her Mercedes in the garage, and Big Bill had his pickup trucks there too. The presence of these cars indicated that either Natalie or William, or both, were at the Carter family home. Friends of Minnie's were unlikely. Big Bill had alienated most of them. Well, let's face whatever's waiting for us, Andrew said, bracing himself as he got out of the truck. His anxiety mounted as he helped Victoria out and unbuckled Rihanna from her car seat. All his fears and uncertainties resurfaced. Throughout their relationship, Andrew had never doubted Victoria's loyalty. Even when he was far away in Wyoming, he never questioned her faithfulness. Julie, Terry, Angela, and Anna Lynn had all expressed their love for Andrew, each promising to be with him forever. He even had plans to marry Candy at one point. But William, his brother, seemed to effortlessly sway each of these relationships away from Andrew. About my brother, William, Andrew began, lifting Rihanna out of the truck. Where's the pool? Rihanna eagerly inquired. Not now, honey, Victoria said, taking Rihanna from Andrew. Swimming can wait. William is quite charismatic, Andrew continued, leaning on his cane. Doesn't matter. I've met plenty of charming men, but none of them compare to you, Victoria replied confidently. Just keep that in mind, Andrew said as they approached the house. What do you mean by that? Victoria asked. Victoria, you know how sometimes you're scared to get your hopes up? Andrew questioned. Yeah, she replied. Well, with William, I've let myself hope before, and it's always ended badly, Andrew confessed. I see, Victoria acknowledged. As they reached the front steps, Victoria turned to Andrew. You always try to reassure me that things won't go wrong, she said. Yes, Andrew replied, stepping up. And there's nothing you can say that'll convince me it won't end like it always does, Victoria continued, following him up the steps. Right, Andrew agreed, pausing at the door. And I can't assure you that it won't go wrong with William either, Victoria added. We just have to face this, get through it, and hope for the best. That's all we can do. Andrew leaned in to give Victoria a quick kiss before he pressed the doorbell, the sound echoing through the air. "Who is it?" came William's voice from a speaker next to the door. "It's me, Andrew," Andrew responded, his tone defensive. "With my wife, Victoria, and our daughter, Rihanna." "Oh, decided to show up now, after Dad's passed." William's voice carried a mocking tone. "I would have been here sooner if you hadn't misled everyone," Andrew retorted, clearly agitated. "William, who's at the door?" Their mother's voice echoed. "Mom, it's Andrew," he called back. "I'm here with Andrew." "Oh, Andrew." Minnie's voice was filled with surprise. The door opened to reveal Minnie, who paused abruptly upon seeing Victoria and the little girl in her arms. "Andrew, who are these people?" Minnie asked, bewildered. "This is Victoria, my wife, and Rihanna, our daughter," Andrew introduced them. "Marry her." "You're joking, right?" Minnie was taken aback, her reaction offensive. "Enough," Andrew declared firmly. "We're leaving." "Goodbye, Mother. Good luck with everything." "Andrew Michael Carter, get back here," Minnie called out after him. "Let him go, Mom," William said with a smirk. "Some people never change." "Really? Want to say that again, face to face?" Andrew challenged. "Whatever," William scoffed, dismissing him. Victoria held Rihanna close, turning her away from the unfolding confrontation. She reflected on William's demeanor, reminded of the entitled attitudes she'd encountered in her past. She knew this type well, privileged and arrogant, living life without any real struggles. Andrew, a man of hard work and dedication, was committed to providing for his family. He understood the value of effort and was willing to go to great lengths to ensure the well-being of his wife and daughter. Victoria had no doubt about who the better man was. She had Andrew's name etched on her arm and on her wedding ring, a symbol of their commitment and love. Amidst the heated exchange, Andrew, unable to tolerate William's taunts any longer, landed a solid punch on his brother's face. William was knocked off his feet, falling unconscious as he hit the ground. "You were saying," Andrew retorted with a smirk. "But I want to see the swimming pool," Rihanna complained, oblivious to the tension. "Goodbye, Mother," Andrew called out. "When you're ready to apologize to Victoria." Suddenly, Natalie, Andrew's sister, burst past Minnie, excitedly approaching Andrew. She hugged him tightly, her pregnant belly pressing against him, and kissed his cheek joyfully. "Andrew," Natalie exclaimed, tears of happiness in her eyes. Andrew, who is this?" Victoria asked, her voice strained with surprise. "This is my sister, Natalie," Andrew introduced, amused by Victoria's reaction. "Natalie, this is Victoria, my wife, and Rihanna, our daughter. I'm your Aunt Natalie," Natalie exclaimed to Rihanna, her excitement overflowing. "It's wonderful to meet you, Victoria. And Rihanna, what a beautiful name for a beautiful girl." Meanwhile, William, recovering from the punch, accused Andrew of a cheap shot. "You think that was a cheap shot? You saw it coming," Andrew retorted, moving away from Natalie, Victoria, and Rihanna. As William charged at him again, Andrew deftly sidestepped, causing William to collide with the pickup truck. Andrew then swiftly pinned William's knee with his foot. "I want to see the swimming pool," Rihanna told Natalie. "May I show her?" Natalie asked Victoria. "It's right in the backyard." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of a police siren. Andrew raised his hands to show the arriving officers he was unarmed, his cane being the only exception. "I'm calling Donald Pellicet right now," Minnie announced, phone in hand, addressing Andrew. "Good," Andrew replied calmly to her and then greeted the officers. "Good evening." "It's just a family misunderstanding," Minnie tried to explain to the officers, her phone still pressed to her ear. "These are my sons." "Are you certain, ma'am?" the senior officer asked, observing William's evident pain. "Yes, Lieutenant Hebert," Minnie confirmed. "It's just brothers being brothers. One says too much," the other responds. "Mama, Rihanna wants to see the pool," Natalie interjected, holding Rihanna. "And you know where it is," Minnie replied. "I've seen similar situations in my own family," Lieutenant Hebert remarked. "Sir, are you able to stand?" Meanwhile, William, in pain and anger, shouted, "Officer, I want to press charges." "Do you now, William?" Minnie retorted sharply. "Remember, you provoked this. Andrew was leaving, and you had to confront him." She gestured towards the security camera at the front of the house. William struggled to stand, using the pickup truck for support. The officer's attention was momentarily drawn to the camera. In another attempt to confront Andrew, William lunged towards him but missed, falling to the ground once more. The officers quickly turned their attention back to him, now grunting and writhing in pain. "William, perhaps it's best you leave now," Minnie suggested, looking at her son disapprovingly. "You've caused enough trouble for one day." "Mom, I can't even walk," William protested, holding his knee. "Yet you had enough energy to stir up trouble," Minnie remarked, turning away from her son. Minnie turned to Victoria. "I owe you an apology," she said. "A simple sorry doesn't quite cover it, but I do hope you can accept my sincere apology." "Yes, ma'am," Victoria replied, giving Andrew a quick glance. "Come along, Natalie has taken your daughter to see the pool," Minnie said, dismissing the call to Donald Pellicet. "No need for your services this time, Donald. Thank you and good night." William, still fuming, made a threatening remark to Andrew. Andrew just laughed it off and followed his family to the backyard. Aunt Natalie says you're my grandma, Rihanna cheerfully told Minnie as they entered the backyard. Yes, I suppose that's true, Minnie replied, somewhat taken aback. Look at the pool, Mommy, Rihanna exclaimed with excitement. I see it, Victoria said, gazing at the elaborate pool setup. The pool, Olympic-sized, featured a central concrete pad shaped like a C, with 5 fountains shooting water high into the air. It really is as outrageous as you described, Victoria whispered to Andrew. Can I swim, Grandma? Rihanna asked eagerly. If your mother says it's okay, Minnie replied, still adjusting to being called Grandma. Go ahead, we'll be watching, Victoria encouraged with a smile. Rihanna quickly shed her Mickey Mouse t-shirt and pink shorts, revealing her undergarments, and dashed towards the pool. Rihanna joyfully jumped into the water, eliciting laughter from Victoria. Minnie, observing the child, was taken aback. Andrew, does that child have a tattoo? No, Mom, it's just a temporary tattoo, Andrew chuckled. Rihanna saw mine and wanted one, so I got her some transfers, Victoria explained. Andrew, do you have tattoos? And please tell me you don't have any piercings, Minnie asked with concern. No piercings, Andrew replied. But yes, I do have a tattoo, Minnie sighed. Oh, Andrew, do you know how difficult it is to remove those? I'm not planning on removing it, Andrew said casually, his fingers brushing over his ring finger. Look, Ryan is having fun at the fountains. When Andrew inquired about the father of Natalie's unborn child, she blushed and deflected the question. Minnie announced the sleeping arrangements, with Andrew in his old room and Victoria and Rihanna in another. Andrew, however, insisted that as a married couple, he and Victoria would share a room. Minnie, I assumed Victoria would prefer. Minnie began. You assumed separating us would be better, Andrew interjected. Does their pool compare to this? Rihanna asked curiously. Andrew, please don't go, Minnie urged him to stay. Minnie was shocked to hear that William's deceit had prevented Andrew from being there during Big Bill's final days. Natalie reluctantly confirmed this, leading Minnie to reluctantly accept the truth. Later, Andrew gathered pillows from the guest rooms to make a comfortable sleeping area for Rihanna. After her bath, Rihanna quickly fell asleep on her makeshift bed. Victoria then playfully suggested to Andrew that they could enjoy some private time together, to which Andrew laughed and agreed. They shared a light-hearted and playful moment, careful not to wake Rihanna, who slept soundly through their laughter and whispers. You're truly amazing, Victoria murmured appreciatively as they relaxed together, basking in their affectionate moment. No, you are, Andrew responded with a smile. In the aftermath of their father's passing, William had assumed the role of Chief Operations Officer at Tricarter, Incorporated, unable to take over Minnie's position as CEO. Meanwhile, Natalie was studying accounting at the University of Louisiana at DeGard, having been named Chief Financial Officer by Big Bill, though Rick Blanchard had been leading the accounting department for the past 2 years. Minnie, as the CEO, convened an urgent board meeting following Andrew's arrival in DeGard. William, forced to attend, entered the meeting with visible signs of the recent altercation, his face swollen and his gait unsteady. Minnie's request for an operations report from William during the meeting caused tension. Natalie, in her role as CFO, presented a clear picture of the company's financial status and the potential losses if current trends continued. Rick Blanchard consistently performed well in his position. William, Minnie prodded. What? William responded irritably, glaring at Andrew. I asked for the operations report 18 minutes ago. Do you have it? Minnie pressed. You think I can just produce it instantly? I'll have it for the next meeting, William retorted. All right, let's adjourn this meeting then, Minnie suggested. William and Natalie agreed, but Andrew objected, insisting that as coup, William should be familiar with the daily operations. Nevertheless, the meeting was adjourned with Minnie immediately calling the next meeting to order, causing William to express his disbelief and hastily sit back down. Minnie addressed William again. So, where are those reports? I told you, I'd have them for the next meeting, William replied with irritation. This is the next meeting, Minnie pointed out. Just call your assistant to bring them. William grudgingly left the room and soon returned, followed by Candy Dermont, his assistant, who seemed startled to see Andrew there. She hesitantly handed over the reports to William, avoiding Andrew's gaze. Thank you, Candy, William said with a smirk directed at Andrew. As Andrew looked through the reports, he found them confusing. William mocked Andrew's inability to understand them, prompting Andrew to challenge him to explain the financial issues. William's explanation was unclear and convoluted. Andrew then called for Candy through the intercom, explaining that her business administration degree might help clarify things. Candy entered but was unable to make sense of the reports. When Andrew inquired who had initiated certain procedures, she silently indicated William. You didn't think to challenge these redundant procedures? Andrew asked with disappointment. I know you're capable of better, Candy. I did try, Andrew, Candy replied, near tears. Ms. Dermont, please refer to me as Mr. Carter, Andrew corrected her firmly. I understand, Mr. Carter, Candy replied, her eyes brimming with tears. I tried to inform William, but he... You're dismissed, Ms. Dermont, Andrew cut her off sharply. Am I being let go? Candy asked, her tears now flowing. If it weren't for the risk of a lawsuit, I might consider it due to incompetence, Andrew stated bluntly. But no, you're not fired. That will be all. Mother, part of the issue here is the lack of clarity in roles and responsibilities. The organizational structure is a mess under William's direction, Andrew explained, pointing out the disarray. There's no clear leadership. As if you could do better, William retorted. Even Ryan would be a more competent coup than you, Andrew retorted with a smirk. I propose that William be removed as Chief Operations Officer, Minnie declared. All in favor? Aye, Andrew and Natalie quickly responded. All opposed? After a brief pause, Minnie concluded, the motion passes. And now, who supports appointing Andrew as the new coup? With that, Andrew took over William's former role. He spent hours untangling the confusing policies and overlapping directives, finding solace in the whiskey William had left behind. William was moved to head the sales department, a change framed as a promotion. However, the transition was not smooth, and several sales staff resigned immediately. The presence of Candy, Andrew's ex-girlfriend, in the office was a source of discomfort for both Andrew and Victoria. To resolve this, Natalie and Andrew exchanged assistants. Minnie gradually warmed up to the presence of her grandchild in the house, though she still struggled to accept Victoria's outspoken and unconventional demeanor. Joseph, the family's English servant, however, found joy in the company of both Victoria and Rihanna. Victoria, often casually dressed, and Rihanna, eager to share nursery rhymes, brought a new energy to the household. Was the spider upset when the rain came? Joseph inquired, playing along with Rihanna's storytelling. Yes, he was like, why did you do that? Rihanna narrated. But then the sun came out and dried up all the rain, so it was fine. Victoria and Rihanna spent a lot of time outdoors, their skin tanning beautifully. They were either swimming in the pool or relaxing by it, with Rihanna ambitiously aiming to swim the entire length underwater. Andrew found his days challenging, sorting through William's numerous errors at work. Returning home, he faced Minnie's grievances about Victoria and vice versa, making his home feel less like a sanctuary and more like another job. Eventually, Andrew inquired about his due dividends from Minnie, who directed him to Natalie. Feeling overwhelmed by his mother, Victoria, and the company, Andrew sought a solution. Natalie calculated that Andrew was entitled to around $1.9 million, considering the misappropriated funds by William. Andrew decided to buy a new house and contacted Gold Standard Realtors, specifying his need for a privacy fence and an in-ground swimming pool. You could add those features after purchasing a property, suggested Whitney, his assistant. But not with a 4-year-old eager to swim immediately, Andrew smiled, thinking of Rihanna. And a wife who prefers minimal attire, he added with a wider grin. Meeting with Dater Dowsett, a notably rotund realtor with large glasses, Andrew was reminded of a character from the Peanuts comic strip. Together with Victoria and Rihanna, they toured homes in her minivan. They eventually found the perfect house on Walpin Street, just 3 blocks from Minnie's. It boasted 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and a family room. Most importantly, it had a large swimming pool with a water slide and a tall wooden fence for privacy. Andrew had his reservations about giving Victoria free rein with an American Express card for home decoration, especially given her unique style, marked by her tattoos and piercings. Daddy, I got a princess bed, Rihanna excitedly shared over the phone, though Andrew couldn't quite make out her words at first. A princess bed, Victoria clarified when Andrew returned to his mother's house. It's all being delivered on the 20th. Rihanna eagerly invited Minnie to visit their new home, proudly mentioning her Pinch's bed, which Andrew gently corrected to princess bed, affirming Rihanna's special status in his heart. On the moving day, Andrew expressed his gratitude to his mother and Joseph for their hospitality. Heading to work, he left with anticipation about Victoria's choices for their new home. Andrew's mind was filled with images of flashy and overly bold furniture, reminiscent of the simpler lifestyle Victoria and Rihanna had before. However, he was pleasantly surprised to find a tasteful selection of muted leather furniture, elegant wooden pieces, and polished brass accents. Victoria anxiously awaited Andrew's reaction to her decorating efforts, aiming for a comfortable and welcoming atmosphere. I love it, Andrew said, genuinely impressed, especially by the formal dining suite and the thoughtfully chosen china cabinet. Look at this, Victoria said, showing off a drawer designed for silverware, making plans for future elegant dining sets, different from the ones at his mother's house. Rihanna's room was perfectly suited for a 4-year-old, with a princess-themed bed, matching furniture, and a small desk. Andrew felt a wave of emotion, thinking about the day Rihanna would outgrow her beloved princess bed. Their new bedroom was a stark contrast to Victoria's previous simple living arrangements. Where she once had a basic full-sized mattress and a worn dresser, the new bedroom was an elegant upgrade. The centerpiece was a queen-sized cast-iron bed, surrounded by black lacquered wood furniture, nightstands with matching candlestick lamps, an armoire for Andrew, and a vanity for Victoria, complete with a padded stool. Victoria's clothes were now stored in a stylish black lacquered dresser. The mattress is a pillow top, Victoria said excitedly. It's so comfortable, I could have slept in the store. Andrew, noting Victoria's typical attire of bikini bottoms and flip-flops, half joked about her attire for the delivery. I put on a top, of course, Victoria replied with a hint of annoyance, then changed the subject to dinner. The doorbell rang, and Rihanna, followed by Minnie, rushed in to show off her new princess bed. It's perfect for you, isn't it? Andrew agreed, greeting his mother. Rihanna eagerly led Minnie upstairs to see her room, while Victoria and Minnie exchanged greetings. Staying for dinner, Victoria called out to Minnie. No, Joseph's preparing dinner, but thank you, Minnie replied. Victoria playfully admitted to Andrew that she expected Minnie to decline the invitation. Rihanna was impatient to swim in the new pool, leading to Andrew jokingly threatening a timeout and Victoria warning of consequences if she didn't calm down. The outdoor furniture was yet another delightful surprise from Victoria. She had chosen teak and cast iron pieces, including 2 chaise lounges, one of which was shaded by a large umbrella, adding a touch of elegance to their outdoor space. Figured we'd enjoy some shade, Victoria remarked as Rihanna demonstrated her newfound skill of climbing the tall ladder and sliding down into the pool. Andrew cheered, proudly watching Rihanna's display of bravery. Relaxing on his shaded chaise lounge, Andrew observed Rihanna swimming across the pool and eagerly asking if he had seen her daring slide. I was never that brave at her age, Andrew commented to Victoria. That's because she doesn't have someone like William constantly undermining her, Andrew thought, watching Rihanna eye the diving board with excitement. So, have you managed to sort out the day-to-day business issues? Victoria inquired, bringing Andrew back from his thoughts. Yeah, thankfully, Candy kept all of William's emails, Andrew acknowledged. Just refer to her as that person, okay? Victoria replied, visibly irritated, but still clapping for Rihanna's successful jump from the diving board. Andrew gently reminded Victoria that their paths might never have crossed if it weren't for his past with Candy. Daddy, did you see me? Rihanna called from the ladder. Yes, I did. Are you ever going to leave that pool? Andrew joked. Rihanna wasn't thrilled about taking a bath after her pool time, but Andrew explained that it was precisely because of the pool that she needed one. Later, the family knelt by Rihanna's princess bed for their nightly prayers. Andrew reassured her about the nightlight and the bathroom light, ensuring her comfort and safety. After tucking Rihanna in, Victoria playfully suggested they test the sturdiness of their new bed, hinting at a romantic end to their day. Despite their passionate moments, the well-built bed from O'Neill's remained steadfast and silent, a testament to its quality craftsmanship. Ouch, that really stings, Andrew grumbled, referring to a mark Victoria had inadvertently left on his shoulder. Sorry about that, got a bit excited, Victoria chuckled, gently applying hydrogen peroxide to the spot. Does that mean I'm in trouble? Her playful tone was met with a light, teasing slap from Andrew, which only led to a more passionate exchange between them. Afterwards, as they lay together, Victoria inquired about the state of his shoulder. It's sore. How's your backside feeling? Andrew asked, affectionately kissing her head. I think it'll be quite colorful tomorrow, Victoria replied with a laugh. She lovingly kissed his hand, then rested her head on his chest once more, playfully suggesting a bit of role-playing for their next encounter. We'll see about that, Andrew replied with a chuckle, turning off the light. Or maybe if I misbehave, Victoria playfully added, tracing a heart shape on his chest. Curious, Andrew turned the light back on to inspect something. He noticed that Victoria's nails, usually bitten down, were now neatly polished and not chewed at all. You stopped biting your nails? He asked in surprise. I made a promise the day we took you to the hospital, Victoria shared. I told myself if you were okay, I'd stop some of my old habits. Andrew expressed his gratitude with a tender kiss on her head, acknowledging her effort and the significance of her actions. When is that cast finally coming off? Victoria asked, lightly nudging it. Next week, unless you keep kicking it, Andrew joked, turning off the light once more as they settled in for the night. A few days after moving into their new house, Victoria and Rihanna were enjoying the pool when William unexpectedly appeared in the backyard, displaying his usual swagger despite his limp. Victoria quickly realized he must have climbed over the gate, as she had locked it after the delivery crew left. You need to leave now. You're trespassing, Victoria called out firmly from the pool. We're family, aren't we? William replied, flashing a charming smile. We're not family, Victoria clarified. You may be my husband's brother, but that doesn't make us family. Ignoring her, William nonchalantly sat down on Andrew's chaise lounge, smirking at Victoria. Sensing the need for caution, Victoria discreetly instructed Rihanna to go inside, get her phone from the purse on the breakfast table, and call Andrew by pressing speed dial number 2. Where's she going? William asked as Rihanna hurried inside. She needed the bathroom, Victoria lied, climbing out of the pool herself. So, why are you here, William? You know Andrew doesn't want you around. It's William, he corrected her, his gaze lingering inappropriately on Victoria. I thought they called you Little Willie, Victoria retorted sharply as she dressed, putting herself between William and the house entrance. William's demeanor hardened as he made an inappropriate comment, suggesting Victoria would want him after being with Andrew. Victoria stood her ground, fully dressed and protective of her space and family, dismissing William's insinuation and maintaining a safe distance. Victoria laughed dismissively at William's claim. Why would I be interested in you, especially when you say I should be looking for a real man? Doesn't make sense, does it? William, unfazed, bragged about his supposed appeal to Andrew's past girlfriends. Victoria's response was sharp and mocking, questioning William's motives and behaviors in a derisive tone. She ensured that she remained between him and the house, protective of Rihanna inside. William, visibly angered, tried to defend his masculinity, but Victoria continued to ridicule him, undermining his attempts to intimidate or impress her. William's frustration grew as Victoria kept taunting him, suggesting that his actions were driven by a desperate need to prove his masculinity. Finally, William stood up, seemingly at his limit, but Victoria wasn't done. She continued to mock his behavior and motives, clearly seeing through his bravado and provocations. Her aim was to protect her family and stand her ground against William's unwelcome intrusion. William's forceful shove sent Victoria reeling backwards, her balance lost but her determination unshaken. "William, stop this immediately," Minnie commanded with authority. "Men should never resort to violence against women." "What's she?" William attempted to explain, turning to his mother. "Victoria, oh my, your face." Minnie gasped in horror, seeing the evident pain on her daughter-in-law's face. "The police have been alerted, Mrs. Carter," Joseph informed her. "Why shouldn't I make you pay for this right now?" Andrew demanded fiercely, holding a large handgun aimed at William. "Because I need him with me, not behind bars, when our baby arrives," Victoria said through her tears, her fear now openly showing. The sound of sirens filled the air. William looked desperately for an escape route but was blocked by Minnie, who pushed him onto Andrew's chaise lounge. "Mommy, I did it," Rihanna exclaimed proudly. "Victoria, how did you know I was needed here?" Minnie inquired, settling next to her on another lounge. "My little one told me to hurry, faster than the gingerbread man," Minnie explained, gripping Victoria's hand. "Joseph, we need an ambulance." "I've already called one, Mrs. Carter," Joseph confirmed. "And yes, I am pressing charges," Victoria declared, tears streaming down her face. "I understand he's your son, but—" "No son of mine would ever behave like this," Minnie declared firmly, glaring at William. "Hold on," Andrew interjected as the police began to read William his rights. "Rhea, did you mean?" "I think so, but I'm not completely sure yet." Victoria managed a small laugh, despite the pain from her injury. "You're married, Victoria," Minnie pointed out. "Married women are pregnant. It's Natalie who's in a different situation." "Never realized it before," Victoria said with a smile to her mother-in-law. "Well, you do now," Minnie returned the smile warmly. Rihanna, for her bravery, got the special privilege of riding in the ambulance with her parents. Joseph and Minnie followed closely behind to the hospital. In the emergency room, a male nurse gave Andrew a stern look while attending to Victoria. She quickly clarified that her injury was not caused by Andrew. The pain overwhelmed Victoria, and she passed out when the doctor reset her nose. Rihanna innocently suggested that Andrew should kiss it to make it better. "Rihanna, sometimes healing needs more than just a kiss," Andrew explained gently. "Minnie will prepare your old room," Minnie told Andrew and Victoria as they waited for the car. "You'll need rest and won't be up for household chores or running after a child, so you'll stay with us until you're ready to go back home." "I think your mom is warming up to me," Victoria whispered to Andrew. "It does seem that way," Andrew agreed, smiling. "The medication they gave me is really effective," Victoria giggled, leaning on Andrew for support. "Is it?" Andrew replied, smiling as Victoria hummed softly to herself. "My ending, do you think OP became a better person after all of this? Or he is just the same man as before? Comment down what would you do as Andrew, and I will see you in the next one.